Commissioner Lucky, what dominates most of your resources? Is it organised crime? Is it terror threats? Is it national adversaries, other countries?
It's actually all of, excuse me, all of the above. We try to look at what causes the most harm, what's the biggest threat, and then we try to be nimble, move our resources accordingly. Often we'll reach out to the Five Eyes so that we can multiply our capabilities and our capacities. In some instances, we may not even have the capacity, but one of our partners will, and so that's the beauty of it. Sharing those best practices, learning from mistakes actually is another thing. Sharing that is very helpful. It maximizes our capacity. But we have obviously national security is a priority, transnational crime, cybercrime, big priority. And so we try to look at preventing and detecting and preventing the crime first, and then reducing the harm.
And you can share that sort of capability across this group.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this group, because it's built on trust. And we have a lot of trust amongst each other. We can speak openly, we can share best practices, we can share intelligence and information, and feel safe in doing that.
A syndicate of sorts. You're taking on cartels, but this is a syndicate for good, Commissioner.
Yeah, and I addressed the group last night, and one of the things we noted that we're the largest syndicate in the world, and we'll use our collective intelligence and capabilities to keep our nation safe and keep our communities safe.
Michael Phelan, how much is organised crime, mafia, bikies and the like working with the cartels across international borders? And I ask you this in the context of, we've seen globalisation across countries over several decades now. Are we seeing and have we seen a globalisation of this sort of crime?
Oh, definitely we're seeing a globalisation. I mean, Australia, for example, unfortunately, we're a net consumer of organised crime, and the very nature of crime in this country necessitates international cooperation amongst criminal groups. So their business model is no different than what you would see from any other multinational company around the world, effectively. You must have different sectors doing different components of the supply chain, for example, for narcotics, different people procuring, different people manufacturing, different people are distributing, all those sort of logistics supply chains. So it's not just one particular group, and they're very opportunistic. So they will work together, and that's, I suppose, the benefit of this group as well as a Five Eyes group, is we work together as well. The collaboration that the others here have talked about is not only on intelligence sharing, but collaboration on technical capabilities as well. All of those things we bring together for the fight against organised crime, because the problems that belong to one of us belong to all of us sitting here at this podium.
So they'll work together, Director General Rodhouse. You've noticed that, but where it suits them, they won't. They'll knock out their adversaries.
Absolutely. As Mike has said, in the business world, there's lots of different models. It's the same in the criminal world. Where it's to the advantage of the criminal groups, they will work together. Where they think they can dominate a supply chain, for instance, of drugs, they will do so too. So they're agile, and we really saw that during the pandemic. Organised crime changed and morphed, and so did the criminals. They were agile and resilient. But, the bad news for them is so are we. We are agile, we are resilient, we're working together really strongly. Many of us have people working across the globe, hand in glove with each other, to make sure that organised crime doesn't take hold and doesn't flourish.
Commissioner Costa, how wide is the reach of organised crime? How wide is their, I guess, where they operate, and how do they impact our Five Eyes countries?
Well, our world's beyond interconnected now, and that's true for organised crime. And we've seen many operations done together where there's been reach into all of the Five Eyes countries. But the good thing about what we're doing here is we can reach into those operations as well and impact them wherever they might be. For New Zealand, once upon a time we could rely on our geographical isolation to avoid the worst of this, but actually today we're as close as ever to the whole world.
And so you're talking in terms of drugs, people trafficking, what sort of issues?
Without a doubt. I mean, the issues vary a bit from place to place, but the commonalities around drugs, around the movement of unlawful items between countries, cybercrime, child abuse and online material, all of that is common across our jurisdictions, and that's why it's so important we work together.